The snow crunched beneath their boots as Sarah, Jake, and Ashley ascended the trail winding through the snow-draped mountains of West Virginia. Their laughter echoed in the cold air, a stark contrast to the eerie silence of the forest surrounding them. The four friends had planned this trip for weeks, a winter getaway to test their limits and bond over shared adventure. Sarah, I told you this would be worth it. Jake, yeah, if we don't freeze to death first. Remind me why we couldn't do this in the summer? Ashley, because summer is for amateurs. Winter hiking is hardcore. They shared a laugh, their camaraderie warming them against the icy chill. The trail was steep, and the snow made each step treacherous. Towering pines flanked their path, their branches heavy with snow, forming a cathedral of frost above them. It was beautiful and isolating. As the afternoon wore on, the sky turned a dull gray, and the wind picked up, howling through the trees like a warning. They pressed on, determined to reach the summit before nightfall. But as the shadows lengthened, an unsettling feeling began to creep over them. Ashley, does it feel like we're being watched? Sarah, it's just your imagination. Let's keep moving. Jake, no, she's right. I've felt it too, like someone's following us. The three exchanged uneasy glances but said nothing more, the weight of their unease silencing their banter. They quickened their pace, the crunch of their boots now accompanied by the occasional snap of a twig or rustle of snow behind them. By the time they reached a plateau, the daylight was fading, and a heavy snowstorm had begun to fall. Visibility was poor, and the trail markers were obscured by the snow. Sarah, we need to find shelter. Jake, what's that? They squinted through the swirling snow to see the outline of a small structure. As they drew closer, they realized it was an old, abandoned cabin. The wooden walls were weathered, the roof sagging under the weight of snow, but it was shelter. Ashley, we don't have a choice. Inside, the cabin was cold and dark, but it was dry. A dusty fireplace sat against one wall, and there were remnants of old furniture scattered about. They quickly set up camp, lighting a fire in the hearth and spreading their sleeping bags on the floor. The flickering flames cast long shadows across the room. Jack, what's that outside? As everyone moved to the window, the figure of a man could be seen in the edge of the woods staring back at them. As dawn broke, they cautiously emerged from the cabin, scanning the surroundings for any sign of the man. The snow was undisturbed except for a single set of footprints leading away into the forest. Mia, we need to get out of here, now! They packed quickly and left the cabin behind, following the trail back toward the base of the mountain. But the feeling of being watched returned, stronger than before. The forest seemed darker, the trees closing in around them. Midway down the trail, they came across something that stopped them in their tracks. The footprints they had been following were joined by a second set, then a third. The tracks circled around them, disappearing and reappearing in the snow. Sarah, he's not alone. Panic set in as they realized they were being hunted. They broke into a run, the cold air burning their lungs, but the sound of pursuit was unmistakable. The crunch of snow, the snap of branches, the low growl of voices just out of sight. As they rounded a bend in the trail, they came face to face with the man from the cabin. But he wasn't alone. Two others stood beside him, their faces hidden by scarves, their eyes gleaming with malice. Jake, run! Jake shoved Sarah and Ashley ahead of him. The chase was brutal. The three friends weaved through the trees, their pursuers closing the distance. Just when it seemed they were cornered, Jake spotted a narrow ravine. Jake, this way. He led them down the slope. The descent was treacherous, the snow giving way beneath their feet, but it slowed their pursuers. They reached the bottom and found themselves in a frozen creek bed. The cold was biting, but they pushed on, following the creek as it wound through the forest. Finally, they saw a clearing ahead. They emerged from the trees to find a ranger's cabin, smoke curling from its chimney. Relief flooded them as they pounded on the door. A park ranger opened it, his eyes widening at the sight of them. Ranger, what happened? He ushered them inside. Between gasps, they explained everything. The ranger's face grew grave. Ranger, you're lucky to be alive. There have been reports of people disappearing in these woods. We've always suspected a group was behind it, but we could never find them. The friends stayed at the ranger's cabin until help arrived. Though they were safe, the ordeal left scars that would never fully heal. They never learned who the men were or why they hunted them. But as they left the mountains behind, one thing was certain. The frost of West Virginia's peaks held secrets best left undisturbed.